So, have you ever wanted to literally live inside a dream? Like, not just imagine it, but actually sit on it, dine at it, and surround yourself with it.
It is an incredible concept, honestly.
Right. Because imagine trying to turn a delicate flowing silk haute couture runway dress into a load-bearing dining room table.
Oh, wow. The physics of that are just wild.
Exactly. Or, trying to weave a mesmerizing fashion print into a physical structure that can actually withstand three people flopping onto it after work.
It sounds like an impossible physics problem.
It really does. But that is essentially the mission of our deep dives today. We have a stack of sources here detailing the new Etro Home Interiors collection.
Yeah, and it is a fascinating collision.
It is. We are deconstructing what actually happens when a high-end, maximalist fashion aesthetic collides head-on with the very heavy reality of contemporary living. Specifically, this partnership between the fashion powerhouse Ichiro and the Onaro Group.
Right, because fashion and furniture operate under two completely different sets of rules.
Oh, for sure.
Fashion is ephemeral. It is meant to be worn, to move, to be taken off. It usually only has to support its own weight.
Yeah, gravity is a bit more forgiving there.
Exactly. But furniture, on the other hand, is architectural. It is static, it bears heavy loads, and it has to survive constant daily friction.
Which is a huge shift.
It is a massive shift. What the sources are showing us here is really a masterclass in how you take abstract creativity, like the wild, unbound visual language of ETRO, and engineer it into a permanent tactile environment.
Without the dream just shattering in the moment someone tries to sit on it.
Precisely.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Okay.
Because the sources use some very lofty language to describe this process.
Yes, you do, yeah.
They call it a harmonious dialogue between creativity and design. But when I read that, I immediately think about the actual mechanics.
Right, the actual execution of it.
Yeah. It feels like trying to build a massive suspension bridge, but the engineers are told that all the steel cables have to look like delicate, intricate jewelry.
That is a great analogy.
Ichio is designing the jewelry, but someone has to figure out the tensile strength to keep the bridge from collapsing, right?
And that is the exact tension at the heart of this collection. Etro provides the reimagined aesthetic universe.
Okay.
They bring the soul, the expressive colors, the historical patterns, basically the entire visual language that their creative director, Marco De Vincenzo, is known for.
But a beautiful pattern cannot hold up a human being.
Exactly. That is the role of the Ono Group. They are the producer and distributor. And there is a detail in the sources that explains how they manage your bridge analogy. They are based in Cantu, Italy.
Okay, I saw that location mentioned, but just looked like an address at the bottom of the cage to me. Why does Cantu matter to you and me when we are just looking at a sofa?
Oh, because Cantu is not just an address. It is basically the Silicon Valley of high-end furniture manufacturing.
Wait, really?
Yeah, it is this historical, geographical hub of manufacturing excellence. Translating a runway pattern to a sofa is not just printing a design on a bigger piece of fabric.
Yeah.
It requires highly specialized industrial looms. They have to weave heavy-duty threads that can survive 10,000 sit-downs, but still look as delicate as a silk garment.
Oh, wow.
So when the sources say this partnership is built on exceptional savoir-faire, which is, deep instinctual know-how, they mean the generational craftsmanship of Cantu.
Okay, wait, I have to stop you there.
Yeah.
Because that sounds amazing in theory, but doesn't something inevitably get lost in translation?
How do you mean?
Well, if Etro Group takes this delicate dream and has to turn it into something concrete and livable, gravity is still gravity.
Sure.
You have to build a frame. You have to use heavy materials. If I drop a heavy book on a purely artistic chair, it breaks.
Right.
But if I want a chair to survive my actual life, it usually ends up looking, well, a bit boring. Doesn't the ETRO dream have to compromise with the blunt force of physics?
See, the difficulty of that compromise is exactly what makes this partnership so significant, because their stated goal is an absolute refusal to compromise. Yes. The sources emphasize this concept they call refined functionality.
Okay.
A purely functional chair is just a utilitarian object, maybe a bit ugly, but it holds you up. A purely artistic chair is a sculpture that punishes you for sitting on it.
Right. Nobody wants that in their living room.
Exactly. The savoir-faire of the Honorary Group is about engineering the structural integrity so precisely that it acts as the invisible skeleton. It allows Ichiro's vision to exist in the real world.
So it is not just about slapping an ETRO pattern onto a standard wooden frame.
Far from it. If the engineering is subpar, the aesthetic is ruined. If a chair looks like a dream but creaks when you sit on it, the illusion is instantly broken.
The reality of bad engineering wakes you up.
Exactly. Honoro makes the concrete reality of the craftsmanship flawless, so the user never has to think about the physics, they only experience the art.
So they're making the dream tangible without watering down the impact.
You got
Okay, so if Honoro is providing this unbreakable skeleton, what does the skin actually look like? Because Marco de Vincenzo isn't just wrapping these frames in, like, standard cotton.
No, definitely not.
The sources explicitly highlight his direction in using expressive colors and specifically immersive fabrics.
Yes, the immersive fabrics are key.
Here is where it gets really interesting to me. Because we usually use the word immersive for things like virtual reality headsets or a giant IMAX theater.
Right, totally.
A fabric on a sofa feels very passive. How can a textile possibly be an immersion for you, sitting in your living room on a Tuesday night?
Well, we have definitely been conditioned to think of immersive as purely digital or loud, but think about your baseline sensory reality.
Okay.
Imagine you walk into a room and sit on a flat, gray, polyester waiting room chair. Your brain instantly ignores it.
Yeah, it is just background noise.
Exactly. It offers no complex sensory data, so you tune it out. Now, replace that chair with one wrapped in a heavy, multidimensional jacquard weave.
Okay, I am picturing it.
The threads in that weave physically catch the afternoon sun, so the chair changes color depending on where you were standing.
Oh, that's cool.
And when you sit down, your hands feel the actual topography of the pattern. You know, the raised threads, the sudden dips into a velvet texture. It demands your neurological attention.
Because your brain cannot tune it out.
Exactly. That is why it is immersive. When Marco de Vincenzo and Etro use this term, they mean a textile that hijacks your senses so completely that the furniture ceases to be a separate object.
It swallows the room.
Yes. It dictates the psychological state of the space. The expressive colors and the tactile feedback shape what the sources call a new way of living.
So you aren't just placing a sofa against a wall. You are curating a specific sensory landscape.
Precisely. It wraps around your experience of the environment.
But again, let's bring this back to reality for a second. An immersive, highly textured jacquard weave sounds beautiful, but it also sounds fragile.
I see where you're going.
If it demands my attention, does it also demand my constant anxiety? If this is supposed to be concrete and livable, how do I live in this landscape without being terrified?
Yeah.
I am going to ruin it with a cup of coffee.
And that brings us right back to the industrial expertise of Cantu.
Oh, okay.
The textiles chosen for home interiors undergo an entirely different finishing process compared to apparel. The savoir-faire isn't just in the woodwork. It is in treating these immersive fabrics so they have heavy-duty abrasion resistance.
So they engineer the yarn itself to be robust.
Exactly. Robust enough for daily life while keeping that delicate, high-fashion feel. It is an incredibly difficult needle to thread, pun intended.
Nice one.
But that is the essence of refined functionality.
Wow. That completely changes how I view interior design. It isn't just filling an empty box with functional shapes. It is choosing the specific sensory programming you want to experience every day. And to really grasp how this programming works, we need to look at the actual artifacts. The sources give us a guided tour of the specific pieces, and the massive scope of it is the first thing that jumps out.
The scope is highly intentional. They aren't just releasing, like, a capsule collection of 2 or 3 accent pillows.
Right.
The sources list sectional sofas, chaise longues, poufs, consoles, day and night storage units. And it even extends into beauty, the home office, and outdoor elements.
Right. They are literally building out every conceivable corner of a human environment.
Yes.
And the names they have chosen are deeply psychological. We aren't looking at sofa model A or desk model B.
Yeah, right.
We have the Caress Dormeuse, the Aurum bar cabinet, the Nocturne bed, the pillar dining table, the Etro ornamenta screen, and the Oxtant poof.
Those names are not accidental marketing fluff. They are instructions for how you are supposed to interact with the object.
Let's break that down because I was marveling at this. Take the Caress Dormeuse. A Dormeuse is essentially a daybed. But by naming it Caress, they are attempting to program your behavior. In a world where everyone feels guilty for resting, a piece of furniture named Caress subconsciously gives you psychological permission to stop.
To just lie down and experience a tactile comfort in the middle of the day.
Yes. It isn't just a place to put your body. It is an invitation to shift your mindset.
That is a perfect reading of it. And look at the Aurum bar cabinet. Aurum is the Latin word for gold.
Right.
Mixing a drink at the end of the day can be a very mundane, mechanical habit. But when you open the aurum, the design and the name elevate that routine. It becomes almost like alchemy.
It transforms a storage box for bottles into a ritual.
Exactly. A focal point of the evening.
You don't just pour a drink, you engage with the aurum. It feels like you're setting the stage for a specific scene in a movie.
Yeah.
Same with the nosturn bed. You don't just turn off the lights and sleep, you cross a boundary into the nosturn.
Which assigns a massive psychological weight to resting.
Yep.
And that ties directly into how Aurum Group engineers these pieces. Take the pillar dining table. A dining table's physical mandate is simple. Provide a flat surface so people can eat. But the name pillar evokes architectural strength.
The foundation of a structure.
Right, so the craftsmanship has to visually and physically support that concept. It needs to feel heavy, grounded, and permanent. It serves its physical purpose while fulfilling its psychological purpose of anchoring the home.
And what about something purely structural, like the Etro ornamenta screen? A screen is basically just a room divider.
Yeah, its only real job is to block a sightline.
Or redirect foot traffic. But look at the name, ornamenta. It tells you that dividing your space should not be a utilitarian compromise.
Often a room divider feels like a temporary barricade because the floor plan is awkward.
Right. But this piece insists the division itself should be an ornamental, artistic choice. It acts as a massive canvas for Etro's expressive colors.
And it just happens to structure the flow of your room in the process.
It turns a functional barrier into the centerpiece. And then you have the Aussie tent. Poof! An octant is a navigational instrument, right? Used to find coordinates by looking at the stars.
Yeah.
Naming a small, easily movable seating, poof, the Aussie tent is wild to me. It implies precision. It implies that even this small piece of furniture is a vital coordinate in the geography of your living space.
Every single piece is doing this double duty, from the caress offering permission to rest, to the Aussie tent acting as a modular navigational point. They are actively plotting out the emotional topography of your day.
Wow.
This is what the sources mean when they say the collection is shaping new worlds. It is not just about the physical space. It is about shaping the emotional landscape you traverse from morning coffee to the moment you go to sleep.
Which brings us back to that staggering scope you mentioned earlier. The fact that this universe extends to the home office and the outdoor space is crucial.
Very crucial.
Because if you have this curated, immersive dreamscape in your living room, but then walk out to a patio with cheap plastic chairs, the spell is broken.
The continuity of the aesthetic is the hardest thing to achieve. It is relatively easy to design one spectacular statement room, but to sustain it across drastically different functional needs, that is an engineering nightmare.
Oh, I bet.
Think about a home office. It requires intense utility. Desks have to handle monitors, heavy leaning, constant use. And outdoor furniture has to withstand UV radiation, rain, wind.
Nature doesn't care about expressive colors.
Exactly. Nature is the ultimate test of refined functionality. If the Onair group didn't possess that exceptional savoir-faire, the continuity would shatter the moment you stepped outside.
Right. If a beautifully designed Etro outdoor chair quickly fades in the sun, the dream falls apart.
Or if the desk wobbles when you type, the immersion is destroyed.
The bad engineering forces you to remember you were just sitting on a piece of wood.
Precisely. The quality is the invisible safety net that sustains the immersion. The concrete reality of Oneiro's craftsmanship allows the creative dream of Etro to fly as high as it wants.
They mutually rely on each other.
They really do. Etro needs Oneiros so their art doesn't collapse under daily life, and Oneiro needs Etro so their engineering isn't just invisible background noise.
So what does this all mean for you listening right now? We started by asking, what happens when a delicate runway aesthetic collides with the unforgiving reality of a living room?
Right.
Through analyzing these sources, it becomes clear that this partnership is ultimately about a stubborn refusal to choose between the two.
It is a refusal to accept that you must sacrifice a beautiful dream to achieve a functional reality.
It is the materialization of a philosophy, taking the fleeting nature of high fashion, the colors, the patterns, the emotional highs of a runway, and giving it permanence.
Anchoring it with historical manufacturing excellence. It allows you to live inside that moment of artistic expression indefinitely.
And there is an ultimate invitation embedded in these sources that we really need to relay to you. Because as much as we can sit here and debate the tensile strength of a sofa or the psychology of the caress Dormeuse, we are fundamentally talking about a physical sensory hijacking.
You really cannot fully comprehend an immersive fabric through an audio medium or a flat photograph.
Audio and text only take you to the threshold. To actually understand how that jacquard weave plays with the light or how the structural weight of the pillar table feels, you have to cross the physical boundary.
Which is exactly why the creators explicitly invite you to discover more about the products by visiting the stores.
It isn't just a call to buy. It is a call to test the physics for yourself. You have to run your hand over the materials, sit on the pieces, and feel the friction of reality meeting the dream.
It absolutely demands physical verification.
It does. Well, this has been an incredibly eye-opening breakdown of how abstract design relies on hardcore engineering to become a concrete reality.
But, it raises a much larger and perhaps uncomfortable question for all of us, I think.
Ooh, what's that?
If our environments are the physical manifestations of our internal states, if every chair, every table, every fabric we choose is actively programming our daily psychology, take a hard look around your own living space right now. What specific dream is your current furniture translating into reality? And, looking at it closely, is it time to engineer a new one?